The journey from a Cimmerian slave to the most feared warrior and loved king was not an easy one. However, Conan did that, and that made him one of the most loved characters in fantasy literature. In our video this time, we'll dive deep into Conan's family lineage and uncover who inspired and influenced him to become the king that we know him as. So get ready, and let's get to it. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Conan. In the Hyborian Age, Conan was born in the Snowhawk tribe that resided in Cimmeria, a northern kingdom of barbarians. When he was 15, he took part in the Valarian battle. After proving his expertise in this battle, he went on several adventures, and eventually, as we know, he became the king of Aquilonia. All of his adventures that led to him becoming the king is what we know as the Numidian Chronicles. Conan was a great warrior, and his fabled fights took place all over the Hyborian world. In fact, he has fought against and/or with most nations of this world, including Aquilonia, which he eventually ended up ruling, as well as other Corinthian city-states like Turin, Aesir, and Picts. Obviously, if you fight in this many battles over the years, you'll end up finding several allies along the way. And so will Conan. His allies ranged from thieves and pirates to adventurers. We know that Conan belongs to the genre of sword and sorcery. We've covered all the sword parts of it, so let's talk about the magical influences and opponents that Conan came across over the years as he fought his way through glory. Over the years, he has faced several sorcerers as well as multiple cults. His most famous opponents, Thoth-Amon and Kulan-Gath, were both Stygian wizards. He also fought against the Witchmen of Hyperborea, which definitely gave us an all-time memorable fight. Not only that, Conan even fought against a lot of monsters, gods, and demons. Yes, that list also includes the fabled Old Ones. While his foes were magical, there's no need to think that his allies were not. Conan was helped by the sorcerer and half-god known as Zucala, as well as the god Mitra. Albino sorcerer King Elric of Melnibone and the priest of Ibis Caranthes were also his allies in some of the major battles. Finally, after defeating so many opponents over the course of so many years, Conan eventually got the throne of Aquilonia. After ruling for many more years, he gave his throne to his son and went across the Western Ocean. For now, he was curious about new lands that were left for exploration. While on this adventure, Conan discovered lands like the Isle of Nat, Mayapan, and Antilia. It is quite possible that he is the one who discovered Zothique as well. Other than exploring new lands, the other main reason for this quest was for Conan to figure out all the mysterious forces from unknown sources who had been plaguing Aquilonia over the years. What happened to Conan is not really known, as his ultimate fate was not recorded. But between you and me, I believe he went out like the glorious warrior that he was. Robert Howard gave us a fantasy hero that we all rooted for because of how brutal and believable his adventures were. Now, let's take a look at his extended family tree and see how his family members played a role in his life, shall we? Drogan, paternal grandfather. So, Drogan was born in an unnamed southern tribe of Cimmeria. Since his youth, Drogan was a well-respected and feared barbarian because of his brutal raids into the Hyborian kingdoms. He had also been one of the very few who ventured out of Cimmeria and got to experience the world that lay beyond the barbarian kingdom. Obviously, when you're someone popular, you will always have people talking behind your back and trying to ruin your life, and that's pretty much what Drogan fell victim to. Despite being such a feared man amongst his community, he was driven outside the tribe because of a blood feud. This pushed Drogan to start traveling north, hoping to find a safe enough space to be able to bring up his sons and grandsons. Eventually, he found a place within the northern tribe, known as Snowhawk, and that is where he settled down with his sons. Drogan was actually present when Conan was born. Although when Conan was born, his paternal grandfather was super old, far too old to go out for battles, Drogan was not ready to die. He stayed living, and Conan got to watch his grandfather in full glory. Conan definitely looked up to Drogan a lot, and as most grandkids are with their grandparents, he learned a lot from him. In fact, Conan had specifically said that whatever he has become, he could only have got there solely because of Drogan. Drogan taught him how to hunt, how to fight, and how to use his sword and axe to cut down enemies. But mostly, he taught Conan how to be a man. Eventually, when Drogan accepted his inevitable fate, he decided to walk alone, following the tradition of their people. He walked towards the Iglothian mountains to die in the wilds. Conan, who was very attached to his grandfather, definitely was not ready to accept this and followed his grandsire. As the story goes, when Conan saw his grandfather yield to the snow, Conan's screams of rage and grief were heard in the mountains. Here's the catch though. Drogan was not dead. See, Drogan was sitting in the snow waiting for an end as he reminisced about the life he had led so far. In his reminiscing, Drogan realized that he had missed out on going further south and experiencing the culture and glory of those southern countries. Perhaps life would have been different for him, which is what plagued him the most. While he was thinking of this, he was haunted by an apparition of none other than Ravenna. Ravenna was actually a high priest who was the last of his kind. He told Drogan that he had a sickness that bound him to the castle in the marsh and that he would be willing to share Drogan's body to explore the world outside. Drogan agreed, and Ravenna in turn restored his youth. Together, they traveled from the border kingdoms to the Black Kingdoms, covering everything from the Kitai to the Pictish wilds, leaving nothing unturned. They enjoyed the glory, the nature, the politics of every kingdom they came across. They got entangled in the evil-filled ancient cities and took part in wars, getting the taste of womanhood when they were done. Life was good until, well, it was not. Ravenna actually sucked out all the emotions of the bodies that he took. It was the terms and conditions of this whole sharing body thing that he conveniently left out. So, as you can guess, despite this luxurious and fulfilling life, Drogan felt nothing. Drogan wanted to finish this deal, and Ravenna offered to release Drogan only if he found him another soul to take. Years later, Drogan and Conan met when Conan was traversing through the Hyborian lands with Jenna. At first, Conan believed that the one he saw in front of him was a ghost or a wizard's demon who had taken the form of his grandfather after haunting him with his voice for so long. Soon enough, Conan realized that the Drogan who stood in front of him was none other than his grandsire because he noticed the fiery blaze in Drogan's gaze. Drogan brought Conan to Ravenna to have Conan fight a series of challenges to have his soul go free. But really, Drogan wanted Conan to take his place by proving himself worthy. As you can guess, Conan succeeded in every challenge thrown his way, and once Ravenna took over his body, leaving Drogan for good, Drogan attacked Ravenna to save him. Ravenna had no intention of tolerating this disrespect, and using his powers, he threw both Drogan and Conan out of his magical realm and sent them to their point of origin. Once safe from Ravenna's ravenous clutches, Drogan apologized to his grandson and walked into the wilds again, this time accepting his death fully. Korum, grandfather. Korum, on the other hand, is Conan's other grandfather. Unlike Drogan, who was not originally from the Snowhawk tribe, Korum was. When Korum was in his prime, he managed to defeat the Raven Picts, who had shown up to the border to loot and burn. He, along with Jongalt and Old Garrod, were the main defenders. As Old Garrod was pretty well respected by the Snowhawk, even though he was not a part of their tribe, Korum's affiliations with him definitely boosted Korum's popularity amongst the tribesmen. We get to see him in the 203rd issue of Savage Sword of Conan, although he has never been explicitly identified in the comic. Corin, father. Corin, the son of Drogan and Conan's father, was not a warrior. Instead, he was the best blacksmith in the entire kingdom of Cimmeria. While he may not have helped Conan in the ways of war, I do believe that Corin played a huge role in Conan's inherent resourcefulness. When Conan managed to survive his age ceremony on his 15th birthday, I'm sure anyone could tell that Corin was very proud of his son. Greshan Gudrum, mother. No matter what you know her as, Grecian or Gudrun, she is definitely a badass. Did you know that she gave birth to Conan in the middle of a battlefield? This woman, very much in her last trimester of pregnancy, decided to go out on a war despite being in such a delicate state. How is that not the coolest thing? Now, when it comes to her life with Conan, there is a bit of a dilemma. So, in one account, you learn that Grecian was there to witness her son passing his age ceremony with flying colors. And then, this was changed in the first issue of Savage Sword of Conan, where it was told that she died in childbirth. Either way, I think Conan definitely got his resilience from her. Zenobia, wife, deceased. Conan is barbaric and a brute in every sense of the word. However, I, as a Conan fan, definitely wanted to see him happy. So when he finally got the throne, the only thing that I desperately wanted for him was a queen. And this is where Zenobia, the daughter of the Nemedian petty nobility, comes in. When Conan became the king of Aulilonia, several people conspired against him and his rule. Zenobia managed to learn about this, and she helped Conan to get rid of these conspirators and defeat them in their schemes. Because of her help, Conan got the throne that he had earned, and for that, Conan married her and made her his queen. Together they had 3 kids, Prince Con, Princess Radegund, and Taurus. They were expecting a 4th child, but during the pregnancy, complications arose and Zenobia passed away. Valaria, wife under Ichiribu law. The greatest ally of Conan is Valaria, and you cannot change my mind about it. While we know her as a thief, a pirate, and overall a bit of a shady character, she actually didn't start out this way. Her father was Lord Dakis, and her mother was Lady Morana. Lady Morana tragically passed away while giving birth, and Lord Dakis originally named their daughter Morana after her late mother. Valaria had always felt guilty for her mother's death, as she often says that her mother's life was the first thing she ever stole, which is definitely not good. When she was 7, her father, a well-respected merchant, was asked to be the broker for a trade agreement between the city of Khorasan and Turin. However, while he was carrying out this task, he was killed by the Turanian captain for the crime of consorting with the Red Brotherhood captain. This captain, Kirkos, was actually Lord Dakis' brother, Brandis. After her father's death, Kirkos took her in and named her Valaria. She became a member of the Red Brotherhood, and she was taught how to use a blade. The life of a pirate is surely exciting, but it is not a life for a lady, and that is what Kirkos considered as Valaria grew up a little. Getting this change of heart, he sent Valaria back to Aquilonia with a vast treasure and asked her to live with her uncle, Marina's brother, Clesus. Unlike Brandis, who really cared about his niece, Clesus did not share the same sentiment. He actually squandered off whatever wealth Valaria had to get merchant vessels in the port city of Cordova. Soon, his ships were sacked by the Barakan pirates. But Clesus was not ready to accept that his luck had run out. He looked at his young niece and decided to arrange a marriage between her and Dom Delaris, the wealthiest man in Cordova, in exchange for precious stones. Val had no idea that she was getting sold off in a marriage until the night before. When she heard that the ship carrying the stones as her dowry was docked, she slipped away in the middle of the night and threw all the stones overboard in the hopes that this would negate the marriage. While doing so, she was caught by a merchant who gave her the bad news that the marriage would happen regardless, with or without the stones. So, in a last-ditch effort to save herself, she chopped off her hair, dressed like a boy, and joined this merchant's crew. She sailed with them for a while until the ship fell prey to the Red Brotherhood. While this is one account of her life, there is another version of it. In this version, Val is seen talking about her parents dying at the hands of the Zingaran pirates when they lived in South Aquilonia. She was saved because her parents made sure to keep her hidden during this inland raid. After surviving this traumatic ordeal, she started living with her brother, Circassian, a Mitran knight. She learned sword fighting from Sir Antonius, another Mitran knight, and their affiliations ran until the untimely death of her brother Cassian. At one point, Conan and Valaria were married according to the Ichiribu law, but they did not have kids together. Eventually, the two allies went their separate ways. Konobar, son of Ursula. Ursula, known as the bear goddess, had a son with Conan named Konobar. Pelon, the son of Tolek, aggravated one of the many great white bears that resided in the forests near Cimmeria. Bear attacks became frequent, and Conan had to kill the great bear to ensure everyone's safety. Konobar, just like his mother, shared a very close link with nature and the great white bears. When he sensed the death of the bear, he was genuinely upset. He and his men managed to capture Pelon, but he soon figured out that Pelon could not have killed the bear. Pelon told him that a man named Conan killed the bear, and Konobar did not need to worry, as the man would show up soon enough. Konobar and his men waited until Conan arrived, and upon his arrival, Konobar challenged Conan to a duel. Conan is not one to shy away from challenges, so he accepted, and soon enough, he overpowered and slaughtered Konobar. Soon after winning the duel, though, Conan learned the bitter truth that the man he had just killed was none other than his own son. Although he could not do much, he tried to give his son, the priest of the wild, the respect he deserved and buried him. Ra Morgana, daughter of a priestess. Back when Conan was an adventurer and traveling through the mountains on his journey, he came across a would-be high priestess who was in trouble. Conan saved the woman from the sorcerer who had been tormenting her, and the priestess surrendered herself to Conan for a night of passion. Conan asked the priestess to come with him, but the priestess wanted to follow the lifestyle she had set for herself. She never told anyone about this particular amorous encounter, and told everyone that she managed to survive the battle with the wizard with the help of gods. A month later, she performed a very sacred ritual in honor of the gods of fertility and spoke of visions of a god lying with her. She told everyone that she was bearing the god's child, Ra Morgana. Despite not leaving with Conan, the priestess often regretted that decision, and she was often seen peering north to the mountains. After giving birth to the holy child, the priestess became the all-mother and high priestess of her priesthood. Ra Morgana followed in her mother's footsteps and learned of woman magic, which allowed her to have the same powers that her mother had. But all the while, Ra Morgana was growing up. She was hated by Te Cortinia, another priestess who was neither as talented nor as beautiful as Ra Morgana. When Ra Morgana was about 20, she fell in love and wanted to go with him. One day, she was caught in an enamored embrace with a man, and she was brought in front of her mother while the man managed to run away. Te Cortinia wanted Morgana to be punished and was all up in arms about ambushing the runaway man. However, she was sent away. The high priestess told Morgana about her own encounter with Conan and gave her daughter a choice, leaving or staying. Not wanting to be like her mother, Morgana decided to leave, and the high priestess arranged for her to walk out of the gates with her head held high. Despite Te Cortinia's grumblings about how the high priestess showed favoritism towards her daughter and she would lose her position as the high priestess, she did not say anything to her. Instead, the high priestess looked out north to the mountains, wondering if she too should go out there someday. Con, son with Zenobia. Lastly, we have the eligible heir to Conan's throne of Aquilonia, Prince Con. Prince Con was the eldest son of Conan, and he proved himself worthy of the throne from a very young age. When Con learned that his father was abducted by the children of the Blood-Red Doom, Con led the Black Dragons to get the king back. The children of Blood-Red Doom were planning to use Conan's blood to return to Razazel. Right when Con and the Black Dragons arrived at the temple, Conan fell to the children. The Black Dragons managed to overpower the children and get Conan. However, the children gained the upper hand. They slew the dragons and fed the souls to their lord. Right then, Conan managed to get to his senses, found the power in him, and pushed the children into the abyss, preventing the Dark Lord from returning. After his father left for his travels, Con took the throne. He was crowned as King Conan II of Aquilonia. Zalata also prophesied that Con would be a greater king than his father, and the kingdom would flourish further under his rule. After many years of his travels, Conan returned to Aquilonia to help his son in a battle against the ominous forces that threatened to wipe out the entire Hyborian civilization. Marvelous verdict. So there you have it, guys. Conan the Barbarian, later known as Conan the King, definitely had his fair share of influence upon others besides being influenced himself. While he taught his son to be a man and to be resourceful and resilient, there is no denying that Conan would not be the character he is if it was not for Drogan, Corin, Grecian, and Valaria. While he may not have met Morana, despite being far away, he managed to set his daughter free from a life that would have made her unhappy. And that is far more than what a lot of fathers do in real life. Let us know in the comments down below who you think influenced Conan the most, and I'll see you guys the next time. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.